Humphrey and I look at Trey Smith, both of those guys they're playing like seasoned veterans. And
speaking of which, did Bosa get a sack?
No.
He got a strip. He got that strip.
He got a strip.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I mean, that one was kind of ticky tack. Other than that, I think Niang did a pretty good job on him.
And that really, to me, I don't think that was a fumble. It wasn't really a strip. He hit his arm when his arm was going forward. I still think that was a incomplete pass, but they're going to call it how they call it. They said it was because of the way his fingers were angled, but his arm was still moving forward. And to me, I think it was incomplete, but they called it a fumble. It is what it is.
But the defense stepped up and they did not let him score when it was 4th and goal. They stopped him. Dirty Dan.
Look, hey dude, look how many times you guys their field positioning every time they got the ball was better than, for the most part. I can't say every single time, but at least 75% of the time they got the ball, they were in excellent field position. Even from the first drive, the guy had a 75-yard run, on a return. And then it was like from 40 yards, 42 yards, 38 yards. They were in a great field position almost every time the Chargers got the ball, and they couldn't act on it. Mm-hmm. And that's something to say for our defense. Our red zone defense right now has got to be number 1 in the league.
Amazing.
That was phenomenal.
I remember when red zone defense used to be a problem.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm old enough to remember that.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I say that because it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't. It wasn't that long ago. I remember that too, Thizz.
I'm also give my appreciation to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Dude had 100 yards rushing. Yeah, it took 17 carries. I think 17 or 14, something like that. But I know he's a much maligned draft pick, just given what he is. But he did get 100 yards rushing, so he's an honorable mention. Let's put it like that. Yeah,
he got 100 yards tonight.
Yes, sir, he did. I just looked it up. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm tripping. I'm looking at the wrong thing. So okay. I apologize. I had to go look at my stats again.
Very good. I have a question for you guys. Oh, you're good, Fizz.
How many? Because he didn't have more than like.
He had 32 yards.
Yeah,
32 yards. 9 for 32. So that's not bad.
I was way off. Sorry,
you're okay, man. I have a question for you guys, though. I know we all like CEH. Do you think it might be best to let Darrell Williams get a lot of the bulk load of when it comes to running, because he pushes to the hole like a crazy man? Thoughts.
I'm not against it at all.
I'm not either.
I honestly think that it's more of like a situation where the offensive line has to warm up to the game in order to get him to be the most effective for him. While our other running backs, Gore and I'm sorry, and names are escaping me. Williams, all those guys, they can just bust through the hole and figure it out. While CE kind of has to warm up to the game too, which causes your offensive lineman to have to warm up to him warming up, I guess is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, it's weird to me because I was telling Caleb that I think during a phone call in the middle of the game, I actually said to him, I said, I don't know if he's the answer. And I actually thought about that earlier in the year too. I actually thought they should have put Gore in at some point during.
I got a question now.
Yep.
I have a question, and I don't mean to impede on the whole podcast, but does he really have to be the answer? This is a question I have, because you're talking about we got one receiver and one Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Does he really need to be the answer? Well, I know based on his draft stock, absolutely, that's what you think. But when we look at how effective everything could be overall, hey, him being a part of a stable of running backs would probably work better for him. Honestly.
That's my point, though. He's not. He shouldn't be the number one running back. I think he should.
Or if he is, just more of 17 carries, more of 15 or 12, getting the best of those carries while using your fullbacks, which
Yeah.
I love the fact that they use the fullback today. Let's throw that out there.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
that was
But
phenomenal.
remember that time that Andy Reid, I think it's 3 years ago, when Andy had a stable of running backs and he went in the offseason looking for a few running backs. He had like 3 or 4 on the roster
Mhm.
at one point. And I think Clyde would work better with 2 or 3 behind him that
Mhm.
would take more of the load off of him. And that way he can run a little bit free. Also, he'll stay a little bit more injury free.
I
Well, and
think that's a fair point.
I do too, and I think that's where maybe Gore would come in. You know, if you rotate him in and out, maybe play more of a, you know, since we're more of an air attack offense, play more of a running back by committee. But I think,
Yes.
Gore
Running
needs
back by committee and get that fullback in there. Get that fullback
exactly,
in there.
Mike
exactly.
Burton is
He's an
talented.
animal, man. God darn it, dude's a beast. I mean, he just
I just remember when our last fullback, whose name is
Sherman.
Sherman, when
yeah,
he caught those, when he caught in that first game, he caught one of the touchdowns from Mahomes. And I see the same thing for Burton. I really do. And I could see this being a normal thing, maybe not every week, but maybe every 3 weeks
Mhm.
or so, where you get a design play for Burton, and then he ends up, because no one thinks of him, he ends up taking it to the house. It's the fullback is a real thing, and I think we should probably use him more. But
Mhm.
you know how Andy is.
it's funny because really, if you look at the way the NFL is today, there's only a handful of teams that have maybe 3 or 4 teams that have a fullback that even have one on their
Yeah,
roster, and they're
yeah, you're right.
rarely used, with those other teams. But I think who we have now is actually better and more. I think he's got more power, and maybe it's because of youth, but um, he's better than Sherman was.
Oh yeah,
Um,
he's being used early in his career.
yeah,
He's
and
definitely. I can see him being. He's more nimble too. I
a
like
lot
how
more nimble. Yeah,
I like his bend.
and he's fast. That's what's pretty
Mhm.
crazy about his size. He's fast.
Deceptively fast, actually.
Yep.
Exactly. So it's like, you look at a guy like that and you think, okay, he's going to get the ball. He's going to bowl over 2 or 3 guys and finally come down. But he's not like that. He's a guy that, he's actually got some juke moves that I'm thinking, where the hell's this guy from? He's juking, he's moving, he's making cuts. And uh, at one point, I don't remember I'm trying to remember what game it was I was watching. They handed the ball off to him and it was a short yard situation. It was like, I don't know, probably 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. And he made like 2 cuts, ended up picking up like 9 yards. And I'm thinking, who the hell was that? Ended up being Burton. And I'm thinking, damn, this fullback just made 2 or 3 cuts and ran upfield. I didn't expect that to happen and come from him, but it did. And that it sold me on him. But Andy loves fullback. So,
He does.
he uses them and he uses them wisely. And for everybody that out there that DM me 64,000 times during the game and asked me about, which I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong, and text me, the reason Andy played the style of offense that he played tonight, it's no different than any other game that he has played over the last 2 to 3 years. He saves a lot of things for the playoffs. He saves a lot of things for later in the
Let's be
season.
real though. So was the other team and
Yeah.
their coach Staley.
That's very
So was
true.
he.
Very true.
I tweeted in there mentioning that it didn't look like I wouldn't say it was a vanilla offense or vanilla. Yeah, it wasn't vanilla offense. What it was more like a look. I'll pull this out when I need to. More like I look like I might have to, but I don't really want to type deal.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Herbert did throw a lot more deep passes. They had the end around a couple times that actually worked. I never understood something. And this is the part that I think that gripes me a little bit about our defense is the fact that we never catch that. When everybody seems to run the end around on us, they usually pick up anywhere from 4 to 15, sometimes 20 yards. When we try it, we get caught behind the line of scrimmage almost every time. I don't know what we're doing wrong on that play, on that design of the play, but McCole got caught
I don't
on
think
it.
we're necessarily. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think we're necessarily doing anything wrong, but I will say this: in 2019, we used that play a lot,
Yeah.
and it got to the point where teams got tired of it because Tyreek was getting decent yards. I want to
Oh,
say
yeah,
it's
he was.
2019,
Yeah, it was. You're right,
and
Fizz. In
so it's like,
2022.
and
Always
so
start
it's
off the
like,
game like that.
right. So it's like two things. What they don't want, like to me, the theme for this year has been do not let them take the top off the defense. And so who does that better than anybody? It's Tyreek.
Yeah.
So more than not, I've seen that teams are trying to, they want to stop Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. But Tyreek Hill makes you look stupid in the process of this stuff.
He really
Like how
does.
he makes people look absolutely foolish when he gets his off. While
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, his is a little bit different, but he makes you look crazy, but not like Tyreek does. Tyreek makes you look absolutely so teams are trying to take both of them away, but if they have to choose one, they'll choose Tyreek.
I just wish our defense would pick up on it more, because it seems like I noticed that that play gets, it's a lot of teams use it, and a lot of defenses are able to pick up on it quicker. We just don't seem to be able to pick up on it very quickly.
We don't use it. The Chiefs don't use it as much anymore. And when we were using it, a lot of those guys that were playing the defense aren't here anymore. I'm trying to think of the linebacker that plays for Buffalo.
What number are you seeing?
I don't remember his number.
Ramik Wilson?
No,
Damian Wilson?
You going way far back. I'm talking
Damian
about
Wilson?
Are you talking about Reggie Ragland?
Damian Wilson and Reggie Ragland, those guys.
Yeah.
They practiced against that all the time.
They did.
So
they did. These guys don't pick up on it. Yeah.
Right. We don't use it as often anymore. So you wouldn't pick up on it as often because we don't use it.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. I actually talked to Reggie a little bit, making sure he was okay, because COVID running rampant in New York too. And just to make sure he didn't have it and he was safe out there, and he's good to go. So for everybody out there that cares.
Giants. Yeah, he's with the Giants. I keep mixing that up with Buffalo.
Yeah. And for anybody out there that cares, because I like Reggie a lot, and he's good to go out there. So he's doing well.
We need him back here.
We need him back
if
here.
If he can get in the off season for a good price,
how many times I've asked him to come back? I said,
man, let him finish out his contract, JP. I'll be fun. I know what you're doing. Bro.
I told him all the time. In fact, when we were playing the Giants, it's funny because I texted him. I said, hey, if you accidentally end up in the wrong locker room and in the wrong uniform, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I won't get mad.
I remember you telling me that.
And he just laughed. He thought it was funny. But I honestly, man, you don't know what you have until it's gone. Mm-hmm. And people bagged on him a little bit too. But man, when you don't have those guys, you see what you're missing. It's crazy. And today was a great example of it. You're missing Chris Jones, you're missing Snead, you're missing Willie, and you see what happened. You've seen what happened. Now, let's take the positives out of this. Okay. If that would have been, let's back up. If that would have been week 3 or 4, and we're
that game would have been lost.
It would. First of all, it might have been lost with them in it, because they still weren't all gelled together. At least, maybe, especially without Willie. But it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been anywhere near the game. So this defense, without those 3, still held a team that's been averaging 30 plus points a game to 24 points. Was it 24 or 28? It was 34-28, right?
Yeah, 34-28.
Yeah, so we got him to 28 points. I'm not going to complain about it. They could have easily scored 40 on us. They didn't. There, honestly, my original prediction with